I came back from a routine errand expecting silence and found my world rearranged. My driveway ended in fresh concrete and steel posts painted so brightly they almost looked cheerful. They boxed me in like a warning. Whoever did it knew timing mattered. I stood there with grocery bags cutting into my hands, heart thumping, trying to understand how a normal afternoon turned into a trap. A woman stepped out from behind a parked SUV with the confidence of someone who rehearsed dominance in the mirror. Her smile was polite in the same way a lock looks friendly until it clicks shut. She explained that a neighborhood association now controlled the access road. Membership was mandatory. Refusal meant isolation. Her voice stayed calm while my pulse climbed. My first thought was disbelief. I had driven that road longer than she had likely lived in the state. My second thought was darker. This felt planned. Not a mistake. Not confusion. A test to see if pressure worked faster than facts. I set the bags down and studied the barriers. They were anchored deep, poured hours ago. Permits flashed through my mind. Equipment, money. Someone invested real resources for leverage. The woman kept talking, listing numbers like she was reading a menu. An entry fee, monthly charges, penalties. She never asked a question. I told her this was my only way out. She nodded as if I had confirmed something she'd already knew. Her eyes slid past me to two people standing nearby, both holding clipboards, both watching like this was theater. My stomach tightened. This was coordinated. When I asked who approved the work, she deflected with language about standards and safety. The words were smooth but hollow. I felt that quiet anger that comes when someone tries to rewrite your life with paperwork. I said I needed time. She said access would remain blocked until compliance. That night I barely slept. I kept replaying the scene, looking for the angle I missed. Fear tried to creep in, but curiosity pushed back harder. Something about her certainty felt borrowed, like she was reciting lines someone else wrote. The next morning brought letters. Thick envelopes. Warnings dressed up as policy. They used official fonts and urgent phrasing, the kind meant to stop thinking. Cameras appeared by dusk, blinking patiently at my windows. The message was clear. Pay or be watched. I started pulling old files from a cabinet I'd ignored for years. Deeds, surveys, receipts. Dusty proof of a life lived quietly. The drawings showed boundaries I remembered, but hadn't questioned, lines that mattered now. The access road wasn't just a favor. It was part of my land. I called a surveyor before lunch. He listened, paused, then said something that made me sit down. He asked if I knew exactly where my property ended, not where I assumed. Where it legally stopped. He could come the same day. While I waited, the association escalated. Emails, phone calls, a notice taped to the barrier accusing me of violations. The tone shifted from friendly to righteous. They weren't asking anymore. They were performing authority. The surveyor arrived with equipment that hummed and blinked. He worked quietly, measuring, checking records, comparing old maps to reality. I watched his face change. Not shock. Focus. The kind that means a puzzle just snapped into place. He told me the road was mine. Not shared. Not conditional. Mine. The concrete they poured sat on my parcel. The cameras too. Even a small building down the way, used as a meeting spot, crossed into my boundary by several feet. Their entire operation leaned on an assumption that wasn't true. I didn't confront anyone. Not yet. I remembered how confident they were. Confidence like that collapses fastest when it's allowed to overextend. I documented everything. Photos, dates, communications. I let them keep pushing. They pushed hard. Social posts painted me as unstable. Complaints appeared with the city. Neighbors I barely knew started looking at me like I was dangerous. The woman from the driveway gave interviews about community protection. Her voice carried concern now. She had shifted into hero mode. A formal hearing was scheduled. Mediation, they called it. I read the notice twice and smiled for the first time in days. This was their stage. They would bring binders and allies. I would bring 2 documents. The room was packed. Matching shirts. Prepared statements. Their leader spoke first, laying out a story where order battled chaos. She showed maps, charts, financial summaries, years of dues and improvements. She talked about fairness while avoiding ownership. When it was my turn, I didn't rush. I placed the survey on the table and unfolded it slowly. I explained what the lines meant. I showed the dates. I pointed to the road, the cameras, the building. I said very little else. The air changed. People leaned forward. Officials whispered. The woman's smile vanished. Her lawyer flipped pages faster than made sense. Someone asked a question she couldn't answer without unraveling everything. The county verified the records during a break. When they returned, the decision landed heavy. The association had no authority over the road. Their filings relied on outdated information. The barriers were unauthorized. The fees questionable. The cameras illegal. Voices rose. Confusion turned to anger. Neighbors realized their money had been collected under false assumptions. The woman tried to explain, then argue, then deflect. None of it worked. The structure she built collapsed in real time. Orders were issued. Barriers removed. Surveillance dismantled. Activities halted pending review. The word investigation floated through the room and stuck. Her certainty finally cracked, replaced by something small and frantic. The next day, crews arrived to undo what had been done. Steel came out of the ground. Wires were coiled. My driveway opened again, wide and ordinary. It felt unreal, like waking from a long, tense dream. Some neighbors came by quietly. Apologies were awkward, but sincere. They had believed the story they were told. I understood that. Authority often borrows trust until it spends it all at once. Weeks later, a new arrangement formed, slower and careful. Clear boundaries. Voluntary agreements. No threats. No theatrics. Just neighbors learning where lines actually were. I still drive that road every day. The paint marks are gone, but I remember them. A reminder that confidence without verification is just noise. And that sometimes the simplest document carries more power than the loudest voice ever could.